don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. I am Andy, and this is how I welcome you to today's lesson. In today's lesson, we are going to talk about how to describe your family in English. Being able to describe your family or talk about your family in English is a good way to start a conversation, and it also helps you how to ask questions. Without wasting much time, let's go to the classroom. Before we start, please pause the video, get a sheet of paper and a pen, because we are going to write some points down. Alright, now, in this lesson, we have divided the lesson into 5 main points. Without wasting much time, let's go to the classroom. Now, part 1, introducing your family. Let me ask you, how many people are there in your family? Here, you could say, there are in my family. Just put a figure there. There are people in my family. For example, I can say there are 10 people in my family. You can say there are 6 people in my family, 7 people in my family. Now, how many people are there in your family? Now, just saying there are 6 people in my family is too basic and too elementary. Let's add more details. Who are these people that you talk about? For example, I can say there are 10 people in my family. I have 2 sisters, 1 brother, my uncle and aunt, 2 grandparents, and of course, my parents. How many? 10 people in my family. Let's look at another example. There are 4 people in my family. They are my wife, my 2 sons, and myself. Okay, now let's move on to part 2. In part 2, we are going to talk about your brothers and sisters, your siblings. Your siblings are your brothers and then your sisters. So here, how many brothers and sisters do you have? How many brothers and sisters do you have? Here you could say, for example, I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. Or, I have 1 sister. Or, you could also say, I am an only child. So it means you don't have a sister or a brother. You don't have any sibling. Very good. Now, just saying I have 2 sisters and a brother is just not enough. Let's add more details. Are your brothers and sisters younger or older than you? Let's look at an example. I have 2 older brothers and 1 older sister. I have 2 older brothers and 1 older sister. I'm the youngest in my family. Another example. I have 1 sister who is 5 years older than me. Another example. I am the middle child, the middle. My brother is 2 years older than me, and I have a younger sister who is finishing high school this year. I'm in the middle. All right. Part 3. We are going to talk about your immediate and then your extended family. In English, we normally draw a line between your immediate family and then your extended family. Now, your immediate family includes yourself, and if you are married, your wife or your husband, your children, your parents, your brothers, and then your sisters. That is your immediate family. Let's look at the extended family. The extended family includes your aunts, your uncles, cousins, nephews, nieces, grandparents, and then grandchildren. Those are your extended family. Now let's look at an example how we can fix the extended and then the nuclear family into your answers. For example, I can say my immediate family is quite small. My immediate family is quite small because I'm an only child. My mom is one of 5, so I have a lot of cousins who are kind of brothers and sisters to me. Let's look at another example. There are 6 people in my immediate family. My parents, my brother, and his wife, my sister and me. I have a lot of relatives, but they live in Canada, so we don't see them often. Your relatives are the extended family. That is the extended family. Alright, now let's move on to part 4. In part 4, we are going to talk about the relationship you have with your family. How often do you see your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your aunt, your grandmother, your grandfather? How often do you see them? Do you live with them or they live far away from you? What is your relationship with them? How often do you call them? How often do you meet? This is, for example, I'm going to give you one example, and then I know you already know the answer, your relationship with your family. How close are you with your family? For example, I'm very close to my family. We have lunch together every weekend at my grandmother's house. She always cooks something delicious. Wow. Nice. Now, another example. I see my older brother once a week. We play basketball or football together. I don't see my other brother so often because he lives overseas. Although we talk on Skype often. When we say he lives overseas, it means he's living outside the country. Let's say I'm living in Myanmar and then my brother is living in Thailand, overseas. But although we talk together on Skype often, very good. Now, let's try to summarize the whole from part 1 to 4. Let's summarize it and see the kind of answers that we are going to get. For example, one example, there are 5 people in my family, although my extended family is quite large. I have 2 sisters and brothers. So I'm the oldest child. I don't have kids yet, but I would love to have a big family one day. I see my parents and my sisters quite often because we live near each other. Although I don't see my other relatives that much. Another example. I come from a big family. I'm the 5th child and I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. I'm the youngest among my siblings. I don't have children, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews. I don't see my family often because I live in another country, but I speak to them on phone regularly. We all meet once a year, which is always noisy, but a lot of fun. Very good. Now, it is your turn to talk about your family. I have done my part. I have been able to talk about my family. What about you? Now, let me give you these pointers. Use that to talk about your family, to describe your family. For example, how many people are there in your family? How many people? For example, there are 5 people in my family. Okay? Who are they? They are my wife, my 2 sons, and myself. Very good. Now, how many siblings do you have? For example, I have 2 older brothers and 3 younger sisters. Very good. Now, the next one. What is your relationship with your family? I live in Myanmar and then my parents live in Thailand. So we normally talk on phones. That is the kind of relationship I have with my parents. Now, the last part, which was not part of the slide that I gave, but you have to. In your family, who do you like the most? Who do you like the most in your family? You should be able to tell me who you like most in your family. In my family, me for instance, I like my sister the most. Why? Because she always cooks something delicious. Yeah. So that is the end of the lesson. Thank you. Stay home and be safe. My name is Andy.